Hello everyone, my name is Mirna and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, welcome to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather daily to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today with us, Angel Rigo, CEO consultant, TV host, international public speaker, and president of the Wisdom for Kids Foundation, is going to be interviewing Pattie Sadler. Pattie is publisher, author, speaker, and mentor. Before starting with them, we want to remind you that Mindalia's mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness around the world, and you can help us by subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment down this video, or sharing it with someone that you know that is going to benefit of the content that we're going to be talking here today. Also, while we are live streaming, like right now, we have the active chat. The screen that you're going to be seeing here on my side, or if you're seeing us from a smartphone, is going to be down the video. Through there, you can interact with us. You can ask your questions. We just please ask you to follow the format, word question in caps, and the question in relation with the conference that we're having today. Also, we want to receive your collaboration with your own valuable content. We want to hear from you. For that, you can go to our website. On the top, you're going to find a link. The link says collaborate with Mindalia. It's going to take you to a form that you can fill out for our technical team to be getting in contact with you. Remember that you can collaborate with Mindalia in English through Mindalia TV English, as you already know, in Spanish through Mindalia Televisión, and in Portuguese through Mindalia Televisão. We are developing amazing content as beautiful and as interesting as the one that you see daily on Mindalia TV. So we want to invite you to visit our different platforms, to see our Facebook pages, and to follow our Instagram's account. I'm not going to delay this any further, and I want to leave you now with Angel and with Miss Pattie Sadler. Guys, welcome to Mindalia live streaming. The screen is yours.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mirna, for the introduction. And welcome to Mindalia, Pattie. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
After the introduction from Mirna, I would like to start the conversation asking you about what has made Pattie reach the point in which you have become a publisher, a coach, a mentor, an author. How does that happen in someone's life, Pattie?
Well, it doesn't happen overnight. That's for darn sure. It's been a journey. It all started with my own recovery, and I had a problem with methamphetamine for 22 years. I also was in a marriage that was domestically violent for 17 years, and choosing to leave that and escape into finding my own reality and finding my own health and peace of mind. I started to write a book and got with the right people, and the journey just went from there. I started mentoring other women coming from incarceration and women that were coming through, that were doing recovery, and that became my specialty. And I started speaking on stages, and then the next thing I knew, I saw a need for people to want to write books. And having written and published my own, I decided to start a publishing company and make it accessible for other people.
What triggered you to start writing your own book at that time?
I felt a need to share my story. I felt a need to reach out and find women who had maybe experienced similar situations and let them know that there was healing available, and to give them an opportunity to look inside themselves to find more worth than what they were looking at the time.
And you had to say one thing that helped you heal at that time. What would that be?
That would be my higher power. That would be God. I would give it all to him, because without him, I wouldn't be alive today.
Well, you wouldn't be alive?
Yes.
Wow. When people read your book, Pattie, what would you say is one of the highlights, one of the support systems that they will find in that book?
So I give them really cool little ideas and techniques and things, messages from my past. And what I did was I found stories in my past that were inspiring to me and helped me to find my way back. And so I took those little stories and gave them little tidbits of information. For instance, finding someone in your life that you can look up to. There has to have been one person in your life that had some kind of influence on you, and realizing and being grateful that that person was in your life instead of focusing on the negative or the bad that was in your life. Also looking for your gifts and your talents and how you can expand on those. Journaling, being full of gratitude and grateful. That's a huge tool. So I have it set up so that they can find these tools with their own experiences.
I would like you to go momentarily to one of those dark places that unfortunately you were in those years, because we like here at Mindalia, we like to help people that are suffering, that are in pain. So obviously we understand what the higher power is, and obviously the power of reaching to God. But at that point, at that place, isn't it difficult to try to reach out to God when you are in such a dark place?
When you get to such a dark place, there really is no other place to reach out to. And he is always there for us. It's just sometimes we don't have the strength, or we aren't at our worst point, so we don't reach for that last effort, which is God. And he is the one who can save us through anything. So I think I'd been reaching out to him for several years. I'd been praying to him, please, please rescue me. Please get me out of here. Please save me. Please, save my soul, whatever, all these things have been going on for years. And I've been praying and praying. And finally the chance came through my biological mother. I'm adopted. And she came and she found me, and I was able to leave the state and go to a new place and start all over. I was really blessed that way. But, he sends the right people at the right times when we're really faithful and we really believe in him and we trust him. But letting go and trusting him is the hardest part, because we want to control our lives. We want to have complete control over everything, and letting him do his magic sometimes is harder. But I'll tell you, when we let go and let God, amazing things can happen for us.
Was there a specific moment that when you kind of asked for God for help, were there some like initial signs that
Yes,
God was listening to you?
Well,
what were those signs?
I remember one time I was up in the mountains in my car, and I was just desperate. I just had reached a point where I didn't want to live anymore, but I didn't want to die, but I didn't want to live. I was using, and I had run away from a volatile situation, an argument and a fight that we'd had, where I had to escape from the house to save my life. And this happened many times. And I remember sleeping in the winter in my car up in the mountains, finding a place and just praying and rocking and praying and praying. And God, please rescue me from this. I'll do anything. Just please rescue me from this. I'll do anything. And then my prayer changed. I remember the moment too. It was like, don't pray without a purpose. That's what came to my mind. And I was like, well, I'll do anything you want to save and rescue other people that would be in the same situation I am. If you will let me be an instrument in your hand, then, and that's my prayer turned to that. It was desperation, but I wanted to change. I wanted to be a warrior for Heavenly Father, and I wanted to bring his children to the light. And I made him know that, and I told him that, and that shift in that one moment, something shifted inside of me, and I knew that he was with me and he would support that. He couldn't just support rescue, because it wasn't asking with a purpose. So when I asked him with a purpose and said what I would do in return for that, and it became meaningful to me, then I felt him driving me towards that purpose.
Well, knowing what you know today.
Pardon me?
No, knowing what you know today, and having helped so many people already, so many women and other people with your writing and with your publishing skills and with your mentorship, with your coaching, would you have done something differently?
No, I couldn't have done anything differently, because the way that things happened, first having the desire, first trusting him, he propelled me to where I am today. And I'm going to tell you, I didn't plan on being a publisher or a consultant to begin with. To begin with, I wanted to save my own life. But he gave me these tools and he gave me these messages so that I could help other people. And so Without giving back, then it's meaningless.
And do you think that those years in your life that you were suffering so much, and now that you are helping people that are maybe at the same spot, but they have been less time than you, is there something that you would have done differently at that point during those years?
Well, I can think of a lot of things I would have done differently, and it all starts with, choosing who you're going to marry, or becoming an adult and trying to navigate the system. I would have stayed with what I knew to be true, but unfortunately, when we're growing up and we're young adults, we have free agency and we have these things to learn. I would never have known these things if I didn't know them now, right? I look at my grown children and I think, I cannot even, when they're little, I could save them and stop them and fix them. And even my 90-year-old mother that I take care of, I can save her and fix her and do all these things because I have more control over that. But there comes that time in development when they have to make their own choices. And I did the same thing. I don't think I could have done anything differently. And I think that it gave me the empathy and the compassion to be able to understand the needs of other people that might be going through the same thing.
Do you think that writing has a healing built in?
Mm-hmm. It's very therapeutic. I've worked with several clients just to flesh out their story just for the purpose of healing. And in fact, some of the consulting I do is just helping them to write their story and helping them to flesh that out with the experiences that they had. And sometimes it can be really difficult because you have to put yourself in that space where you were before, and that's the space you're trying to get away from. So, it can be difficult, but it's very therapeutic because once it's, I call it throw it up on the paper. Once you've thrown it up on the paper and, got it out there, no one has to see that, but we can regurgitate that into something beautiful, but I mean, when we throw that up on the paper, what I tell them, I say, get that out, just throw it up, get it out. And then they write down their raw feelings. I don't even have to read that, but it helps them to flush that out of their system so that they can move on and they can let go. Because, even if they're not going to be an author, then I can have them do other techniques, like they can burn it, to let it go and release it. They can rip it up. They can, whatever they need to do. There's different things we do depending on their needs to help them let go of that story or to move forward and share it if they need be.
Now that you're talking about this, we are at the beginning of the year. So I guess probably a lot of people are trying to restart things, are trying to have a better life, are trying to have a better year. So it's the moment in which everybody kind of stops and tries to have a better year and thinks, what can I do differently? And there's these resolutions and new goals and everything. Do you think that writing also could help to do that, to kind of reinvent oneself for a new year?
Absolutely. I have a program called Ideal Life Vision that I work with. And in this program, we work on the 5 different areas of life. You've got spirituality, you've got personal relationships, you have your physical health, you have your financial career, and your self-development. And I take a 6-week period of time with a client, and I work through each of those areas, and then we write those down in exactly what they would like it to look like and exactly what they really need in their life. And I help them flesh that stuff out, and we create it in the present tense as if it's already happened. Then what we do is we record that to Baroque music, and then they record it in their voice, and then they listen to that on a daily basis. And it has purposeful steps within it so that they can do things on a daily basis. So you can write. The power of writing is big because you're using your mind and your imagination. And there really is no difference between the subconscious and conscious if you do it the right way, because those things, when they mesh together, we can create so many things.
And does it have the same power doing it like handwritten or doing it with a computer?
Yes, we do it through the computer. I do Zoom appointments and I consult over the computers. And what we do is we work together and we write this out, and then I can help them record it on their own, and so that they can record and listen to that on a daily basis.
And listening to that on a daily basis, what's the effect that is expected?
So listening to your thoughts in the present positive tense It helps to staple your mind so that you're in a positive sense all the time. Because when we have negative going on, we can stop and be a natural halt to everything we want to do. When we put it with Baroque music, that actually breaks the barrier between the conscious and subconscious mind. And when you do that and you break that barrier, that's why people study with Baroque music like Bach, Mozart, and these others, because that can help you to be able to mesh everything together in your conscious and subconscious so that you can actually make it actually happen. It's a science.
Wow, I'm so amazed about what you just said. Baroque music. I was born in Europe, and when I was a kid, I was completely like surrounded by people that were liking and playing and buying and gifting Baroque music. So I didn't know that the Baroque music has a special power in it. Is it? Do you know why? Do you know exactly what makes it special?
There's something in the mathematics of the way the music is formed, and in the classical music. I played the piano all my life, and so I was really fortunate to play classical music growing up. And I had no idea until I received some of this training what the power of the music could do. But I noticed a difference in my life when I didn't play and the time when I did play, and just exactly, where I've been in my life. And when I stopped playing, I went into this other place and I was away from the Baroque music. So it's really interesting, but it has a very powerful effect on our brains.
Wow. So your let's say your clients or your coachees, they basically they record their music with the Baroque. Excuse me, they record their affirmations. Let's call it this way, and on the present in the present tense, and they are all positive. And there's this Baroque music at the as a background,
Right.
and then they play it every single day.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful.
Really neat.
Excellent. So let's move a little bit forward, because you said you mentioned that one of the let's say issues in your life is that you were consuming methamphetamine. I think for many years. You mentioned. Did you say how many years did you say? Oh my God, that's a lot. How do you get out of an addiction like this?
You have to, first of all, it's a matter of the mind. You have to really want to get out. Unfortunately, many people try to quit, but one of the biggest things that has to happen is you have to change your associations 100%. You can't associate with anyone that's doing that anymore. So if you want to get clean and free of that, for me, I had to leave the area. For some people, they're able to, not be so triggered where they don't have to, but you need to find a support group. AANA and some of these other meetings are awesome for that, because you can build a whole new community. Some people turn that into their religion because that's what saves them. But you have to reassociate yourself with a new group of people. You cannot stay where you were at all.
And is there anything that you can do? Imagine that someone doesn't have, or the relatives, the connections, the relationships, or the money to do that. Is there any other measure that they can take? Anything else that they can do?
Find a church. Find a church of God, and go. And I mean, there's not one church that can hurt you. They're all, when they're Christ-centered and they are God-centered, then you need to find a religion, because essentially that's the next step after recovery anyway, because that's the one thing you need to do to be mindful all the time. But you'll find support in those places where you wouldn't normally go because you're using or you're involved with these other people. Find places that are healing. Go to find different groups of people that are not doing the drugs, that are seeking Christ, that are seeking God, that are seeking better things. That's the biggest thing. But if you don't have any resources and you don't have anybody, that's when you really have to look within yourself. And that's when you have to pull yourself out. And if you don't have the resources, then you've got to make the resources. So when you make those resources, that would be finding a religion, go to NA or AA meeting, or doing any of these number of things, anything that you can find support, then that's what you'll need to do.
Besides, helping people with their lives, you help them to write their books. Is it the same thing with everybody? I mean, to help everybody or anybody, kind of.
Everybody's different. Everybody has their own. So there's really no level of. Some people's bottom is lower than others, and some people's bottom is quicker than others. Obviously, mine went for 22 years, so it took a lot to get me to my deepest point of what I could tolerate. But when you reach that point, you just absolutely make that decision in your mind. Reaching out to people who don't do it and not letting go of that. Because if you don't have the support and you can't find that one person that can lift you out, that can help you, it can feel pretty desperate. But you do have to pull yourself to a point. We are responsible for our own healing. We don't have to take responsibility for what other people have done to us, but we do have to take responsibility for how we're going to get out of that situation and heal from that situation. So taking steps, whatever steps we need to take, is the main important goal there.
What is that maybe technique that you like to use the most to help people write their own story on a book?
Well, first of all, we need to flesh out different things. We have experiences. We do retreats. For instance, this retreat that we have coming up in June in Ireland is experiential. There's a lot of things that are going to be life-changing, a lot of experiences they'll have to help them take some of those nuggets and refresh their life and maybe look deeper. I like to teach them about using their senses to write. So in using their senses to write, we have the 5 senses. We have the smell, the taste, the hearing, the seeing, and then we have this, let's see, what didn't I say? Anyway, there's 5 senses. We all know them. But the matter of fact is we don't always use those senses. So in using those senses, we can actually flesh out a better story.
Excellent. Is everything okay?
Yeah. I have my mother in here, and I just wanted to make sure she was okay.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, do what you have to do. I mean, you are safe here. It's a safe environment. So let's say someone wants to start, or needs to heal, and you're using the beautiful art of writing. When someone reaches out to you, I guess they have already made the decision that they want to write their story, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are the main reasons?
A lot of them, they feel like they have a story that's people can relate to. A lot of them feel like they have a message, and they do. And every one of us has a story, and every one of us has a lesson we can learn from our own stories. There's nobody that is immune to that. But in most cases, they want to help other people. There are some situations where I work with people and it is all about healing and helping them I'll do therapeutic writing with them to help them, but they'll turn around many times and decide they want to publish a book because they've got this far and they want others to hear their message.
And typically, how long does it take for someone to start thinking about writing their story until the book is published?
Well, I've had a few clients who I've helped them to flesh things out. I can usually get someone done in 2 months to a year. So it just depends on what kind of experience they have and how much trauma there is involved and how much therapy they actually need. But if somebody is ready to write a book, I can get with them and we can flesh it out and we can get working and we can have it done by the end of the year. I would say anywhere from 2 to 6 months is about the level of most of my clients are between 2 to 5 months.
Are you able to be completely not attached to the heavy stories that people might bring to you?
Yes, I do have the ability to do that. For the most part, I just remember everybody has a story. I remember my story and I don't step out of that. And I realize that we're all vulnerable as well. So there's a lot of different things that have to be taken into consideration when working with somebody on their book, especially if they have, they have vulnerabilities, they have their trauma, and, we need to work those things. So that depends entirely on how long it's going to take for the book.
What's the difference between, let's say, when we are trying to help someone from the distance and someone that maybe comes to a retreat and he or she is there with you? What's the difference in the process of trying to flesh out their story?
You mean when I'm face to face, or else I'm working
yes.
with them?
Mm-hmm.
So working face to face, it's really amazing, because for instance, when I have different events, there's other people there that also facilitate, that have their own expertise, but we can work through different emotional situations and using their senses to teach them, how to come from their heart. And when they are in another country or another place, or in a place where we have a retreat up in the mountains or anything like that, they get to experience a different kind of space, that they can be away from the world and they can actually do some writing, and we can actually coach them on that and work with them to see, where they want to go with their stories. But having an experience is experiential, and it's life altering, it's life changing. It can be life changing to meet with me and do consulting on the computer, but having that experience in different places can be really uplifting and move somebody, really propel them forward in a real quick way.
And what happens when there's a lot of people at the same place trying to do the same thing, trying to come out with their story and write it down?
Oh, amazing things happen, because you have some really positive energy. Everyone's got the same mind and the same energy going on. So we all are working towards the same thing. And I've seen people come out with not only new ideas to flesh out their story, and but opportunities as well, because the frequency is so high. They actually make miracles happen in their world.
And is there some sort of I don't know, psychological or spiritual training or sessions or meditation? Are there some specific practices that you do when there's a retreat in which you bring, potential, authors together?
Well, yes, we do have several different activities that we participate in. We do vision boarding, for one thing, so that they can get their vision board. That's one of the very first things we do, so that they can visualize what it is they want to create. And we help them to understand who their audience is, and visualize who that is, and who they're actually who they're representing, and who's going to represent them. We help them to visualize all these different things. But then we also have different things like drum circles, and we have meditations, and we have all kinds of different activities that give them a sense of where they are and help them to propel to another level.
And according to your experience, what is the most difficult hurdle to jump over when someone starts doing this?
Many times people get started, and then they'll have a breakdown because they relive some kind of a situation. So it'll throw them back a little bit. This is why I say sometimes it could take up to a year to write a book, because of the trauma they may have experienced. If they're really ready and they're over their past, and they're able to really just go forward, which is in most cases not true, because we all have to relive and experience a way to heal from those circumstances. Then they can usually propel. We can get it all fleshed out, get an outline, and get the book done a lot quicker. But when they have different traumas and stuff, then it does take longer, because we need to work through those things and get healing. So it's also a situation where they can get healing as well when writing a book.
And are you also able to provide them with this additional support, safe area, safe zone, so they feel comfortable, like following through?
Absolutely. I actually have different techniques and different things that I do for PTSD, and I deal with trauma victims. I've dealt with women coming from polygamy, and women coming from incarceration and domestic violence. I am able to work with men, but it seems like it always turns out to be women, and they're attracted to me. but there are different things I can do with my PTSD certifications and trainings that I can help them to heal.
Wow, PTSD is big today in our world.
Yes.
How did you end up being or engaging with people with PTSD?
Well, I started doing consulting with women coming from incarceration and realized that there was a real need. And I started doing some research on PTSD, and I found some different groups where I was able to do some training and get some mindful practices. And I actually had an opportunity to work with a company that they were working with the military. And the military is a real different thing because they can't tell us their stories because they try to keep a lot private, and a lot of it is not public knowledge of what they've experienced. They're not allowed to share. So the techniques that I have allow them to tell their story in a way that's comfortable for them without telling me the story. So there's just so many different levels, but I just did a lot of research and found myself wanting to help those who had trauma so they could find some kind of techniques to help them through those moments.
Isn't it beautiful that, I guess when you see someone that has gone through so much and you hit let's say you hit the button of let's print this. And even when you start like just distributing this over different sales channels, retail channels, I mean, what's the feeling? How do you feel? How do they feel?
Well, first of all, people are really, really elated when they find out there's somebody that can help them, because a lot of times they feel desperate and they don't feel like there's any healing for them. Sometimes they don't even realize that they are having PTSD. So drawing that out and helping them to realize that there is healing is really big. But two, when they find that there is a technique that works for them, then it gives them the opportunity to go and make a difference in the lives of other people, because they can actually heal themselves and they can take those tools and use them to help someone else.
Have you ever had anybody like being afraid of eventually publishing it? Like they've done all the job and then they say, oh my God, I'm going to be revealing to the world everything, right? What's left? Sorry to become maybe to ask you this so personal question, but I was just feeling myself, oh my God, I just disclosed everything to the world.
Right. Well, I've had a few that have really stumbled over that. And in fact, I had one client that wrote everything out, got their book done and everything, and decided they didn't want to share it to the world. And that's okay, because we went through the process and they did everything that they needed to do because they got the healing they needed. They still have that book. They can always do it later if they want to, but it's the mindfulness and the activities and the different things we can do to get them through that healing that really matters. If they don't publish the book, they've at least fleshed it out for themselves so they can get healing and move forward and maybe help other people that way.
What is that thing that keeps you most passionate every single day, that helps you get up every single morning? I guess besides your mom, right? Because you love your mom.
She's here with me right now.
Thank you. Thanks to your mom. What's her name, by the way?
My mom's name is Naon, and she's
okay.
over here in the chair right now. So, I feel like when people write a book, yes, I want to see them get published and get out in the world, but that's not always the reason for doing that. The thing that makes me feel passionate every day about getting up is realizing that, God saved me and he helped me and he gave me everything I needed to move forward and help others. And he still does it. And he's the best paymaster that there possibly ever is. And, I knew that before, but I didn't know it because I didn't use that tool. I didn't tap into that at all. But the fact that he has children all over the world that are suffering makes me want to get up and make a difference every day.
Absolutely. We couldn't agree more, Pattie. Children is and should be everybody's task, everybody's focus in this world. We never do enough for the children around us and the children which are also distant from us, and we know that they're going through a lot and we definitely can do a lot of things for them. So
Yes.
excellent. So let me go through some questions we got from our team or from our audience. So here is the first question. By the way, before I do that, could you remind the audience where can we find you? What's the easiest way to reach out to you, Pattie?
The easiest way to find me is on Facebook, Pattie Godfrey Sadler, Pattie Godfrey Sadler. You can find me there. You can message me. I'll always respond. Yeah, you can follow me, find me there. We do a lot of stuff on Facebook.
Excellent. Is there an email address that you would like to share?
Absolutely. So it's Pattie Sadler, Pattie Sadler @gmail.com or New Life Clarity Publishing @gmail.com.
Excellent. Sorry, I didn't want to.
Oh, you're just fine.
Okay, excellent. If you want to know more about your support, your retreats, everything, those would be the right email addresses to read to send.
If you're interested in knowing more about that, let me give you a phone number: 435-695-4456. Again, that is 435-695-4456. If you want information about the retreat. Also, if you want to text me, I'll send you a link. If you don't want to talk to me about it, I'll send you a link.
Excellent, thank you. So now let's go to those questions. Number one, can we train our minds that Baroque and affirmations technique?
Can we train our minds with the Baroque?
Using that, can we train our minds using that Baroque and affirmations technique? Can we train the mind?
Absolutely. And in fact, that's what the whole purpose of it is when we use those positive affirmations and we're listening to the Baroque music, we're actually training our brain to use a different source. We're actually using positive affirmations instead of looking at the negatives, and we're feeding our brain full of positive. The Baroque music helps, the technology and Baroque music is math. Music is math. So the melodies, the notes, everything that plays a piece in a Baroque piece is so different than any other kind of music. That just feeds our brain with all that positive energy as well, but it also soaks in what we're telling ourselves. It's like a second layer.
Excellent. Next question. What advice can you give to someone wanting to start a career in the publishing business?
Well, if you're wanting to start a business, a publishing business, then you need to actually have your own books done. Learn how to do your own books. Surround yourself with people that are experts. Learn from experts. Find people that are actually doing it already. And I would say this about anything that you wanted to pursue. Find an expert and get their coaching, get their consulting, and get them to help you to do it then.
Excellent. Next question. What is the hardest thing about writing?
The hardest thing about writing is getting started and keeping going. If we just take 10 minutes a day and just write every day, we would have so much content. It wouldn't be, but the problem is we don't set that time aside and actually do it. Getting started can be the hardest part, but once you get started, you got to keep writing. Is
everybody good in writing?
Not everybody's good in writing. Not everybody's good in writing, but it's English, or it's the language. It doesn't have to be English, but it's language. So it's something that can be learned.
Okay. So it can be taught, it can be learned. You can improve.
If we read books often, that will help expand our mind in a way that people don't even realize. Reading books is probably the biggest tool in learning a language.
Wow, that's powerful. Excellent. So we've reached the end of our conversation. Any piece of advice, any announcement that you would like to make, Pattie?
We have a writer's retreat coming up in June 16th to 22nd in Ireland. If you're interested in that, just hit me up, and I'd like to share that information with you. If you're interested in publishing a book, contact Angel, because we are working together, and he will direct you in the right way. And if you have a story, don't be afraid to share it, because the world really needs your story and your inspiration.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much, Pattie. It's been an amazing conversation, and it's been amazing to see that you are helping so many people every single day. So
pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you. So by the way, she didn't say it, but would like to add something else, which is beautiful from or of Pattie, which is she's extremely sensitive, and she really is. She has a big heart, and when she spoke about kids, she really means it. So she when I share with her that I'm the president of Wisdom for Kids, she felt immediately compelled to help those kids. So that's the kind of woman and human being that she is. So thank you, and thank you
so much.
thank you thank you, God, that you are here and you're helping so many people to have better lives. So have a wonderful day. It's been a blessing to have you among us. And again, this is Angel Rebo with Mindalia TV. Thank you very much for being with us today, and hope to see you soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.